Today, the I-956F, in a very kind of just bird's eye view, it's a form that every regional center files on behalf of a project that they are bringing to market. And this form is filed with USCIS before any investors can basically choose that project and invest into it as part of their EB-5 application. The form itself obviously includes a lot of basic information about the project, but then along with the form, each regional center includes a pretty hefty package of documentation that's going to provide USCIS with a lot of the key information that they're looking for to determine if a project meets immigration approvability, right? The first would be project location and whether or not that location will qualify for one of the set-aside TEA statuses, whether that's rural, high unemployment, or infrastructure, right? It's going to give some general information about the project overall, how much money is expected to come from EB-5, who is bringing the remainder of the capital, who are the different sponsors in the deal, who is the developer, what other pieces of the puzzle are there that come together as a whole to complete this project, who controls what within that project. Anytime you've got multiple different entities kind of working together to reach a common goal, there's a lot of the legal documents that govern that project is going to talk about who has more control in what scenario. There's also going to be a job creation analysis, and that's going to talk about the different industries that are impacted by the project, how much jobs are created within those industries, and how those industries overall are looking over the next few years with this project and how it plays within that.
So within a 956F, what the government is looking for first is that the project actually complies with EB-5 program requirements, and that is all the statute requirements, money's at risk, things like that, and that it qualifies for the program. Second is that USCIS is approving the job creation methodology. That typically goes hand in hand with the business plan and the credibility of the project. For example, it's a lot easier to have a 956F approved when a project is fully baked, underway, fully capitalized with EB-5 as part of it, and there's real evidence of the project, like a GMAX contract, full architectural drawings. A little bit harder to prove that the project is credible if you have a piece of dirt under contract with a couple hand-drawn sketches of the property. You're not really going to be credible to be able to get that 956F approved. And last is just that the regional center is also approved and that the project qualifies under whichever TEA category you're going for, if you are going for a TEA category. And for investors looking at, let's say, a rural deal or a high unemployment deal or a specific designation, the 956F confirms that it qualifies under that designation. So you're not worried about, oh, is this a TEA? Oh no, is this a rural deal or not? I just don't know how to check. At that point, the government has already certified that yes, this project qualifies as rural for the 20% set aside. And yes, this project meets the program requirements of the EB-5 program.
I think first and foremost, I would say that it's always safer to just choose a project that has a 956F approval. What's really kind of a bad scenario to be in is if you file your application, you wait several months, and then the 956F for the underlying project that you've invested in gets denied, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Sure, a lot of regional centers might be willing to give you your money back immediately based on a denial refund guarantee, but you've lost that time in terms of immigration, and your priority date is going to be reset with a new filing if you choose a different project after that.
Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit more, because I'd say now more than ever is when it's critical for investors, especially those from within the U.S., to consider choosing a project that has a 956F approval. Because as Ahmed mentioned, if you choose a project today, by the time that your I-526 is denied because of a project, we could be 6 months, 9 months, a year away and maybe grandfathering doesn't get extended and that part of the provision is gone? What if the category that you're applying through backlogs, either the urban TEA or the rural TEA, does show retrogression and you can't concurrently file anymore, even though you'd have another chance possibly to do EB-5 and get another swing? There's a ton of issues where if you're looking at concurrently filing, switching over, using that EAD, and you know that we're running towards the end of the RIA, like I don't understand why an investor would choose a project that's not 956F approved versus one that is. And one thing that, again, is very unique about us is we believe that really always we want to have a project 956F approved before we bring it to market. We've just seen that even some of the larger EB-5 players that have had a very strong track record of approvals had denials on 956Fs, where even if you think that the 956F should be approvable as the regional center and you're going to be able to appeal it and get a denial overturned, that doesn't help the situation. So sometimes there's a rogue adjudicator, or maybe they made a mistake in adjudicating the 956F and denying it. That doesn't really matter for the investors unless they're willing to wait it out and hope that the appeal is successful. So what I'd say is that seeing well over 20 of these 956F approvals, I believe we're by far the industry leader in having our projects approved just in terms of volume of 956Fs. We're probably the leader in terms of duration of having them come the quickest. And I believe that we are the only regional center that primarily waits to have the 956F approved before taking a project to market, which means it's quite often 18 months after initial project conversation, 12 to 18 months by the time we document, submit, have the approval, and actually bring it to market, which does mean many of our projects are well under construction even before the first EB-5 investor looks at that potential deal.